Headlines today include the Tigrayan government has reiterated support for the Oromo people's fight for their freedom. New study has revealed ongoing war and undermining Tigray's successful environmental recovery. And the Armenians and the Tigrayans converge in Los Angeles to demand recognition of this ongoing genocide against both of their people. The main stories today: the government of Tigray has reiterated the support for Oromo people's fight for freedom. The Tigray External Affairs Office, in a statement it issued today, said the people and the government of Tigray stand on the shoulder to shoulder with Oromo people as they wage a valiant struggle for their freedom and the rights of self-determination and self-administration that are ensured and nourished by FDR Constitution. This statement underlined as the victims of the Abiy Ahmed regime's premeditated campaign to annihilate them, and the people in the government of Tigray have a great appreciation for the Oromo people's fight for their right to survive as people. The statement also noted that the Oromia has been under de facto military rule since Abiy's ascension to the premiership, adding that OLA has been fighting against the tyrannical Abiy Ahmed's regime attempt to suppress the Oromo people's hard-won rights. Besides, the statement revealed that the same marauding air-trained army that unleashed unimaginable terror on the people of Tigray on Abiy Ahmed's behest and watch has now been deployed across Oromia to help to end these Oromo people's struggle for dignity, freedom, and survival. In recent weeks, the Abiy Ahmed regime has ramped up its indiscriminate campaign to terrorize the Oromo people into subjugation by embarking on a new round of brutal military campaign across the entirety of Oromia, quote-unquote, designed to eliminate the OLA and by extension extinguishing the Oromo people's yearning for freedom. The statement noted that it also emphasized that the latest campaign, though guaranteed to be as futile as prior campaigns, is exacting the considerable cost in both blood as well as treasure. Perpetually of basic rules and norms governing conduct towards one's citizens, Abiy Ahmed has deployed every destructive tool at his disposal, including armed drones, helicopter gunship, and jets to eliminate freedom fighters in Oromia and preserve his regime's reign of terror, as the statement noted. It added that people in the government of Tigray stand unequivocally with the Oromo people as they exercise their legitimate right of self-defense. The statement stressed that the people of government of Tigray are of the firm belief that the only a genuine and all-inclusive national dialogue in which all relevant stakeholders partake is the only viable way out of the vexing socioeconomic and political predicament that the country currently finds itself in. The Tigray forces say that they have completely withdrawn from Ethiopia's Afar region, and member of Tigray Armed Forces Central Command Getachew Reda told Reuters on Monday that Tigrayan forces have in fact left all of the region of Afar. He hoped this meant that the desperately needed food aid could finally pour into the famine-hit Tigray region, but the government spokesperson Lagasa Tulu cannot be reached for a comment. Tigrayan forces said that they would respond and respect the ceasefire as long as the sufficient aid was delivered to their region within reasonable time. Only a trickle of aid has made it into Tigray, where more than 90% of the population currently is in need of food aid, and since Ethiopian military was driven out at the end of June after months and months of bloody clashes. And according to the UN, the World Food Program, only 144 trucks have in fact made it in since the ceasefire was announced, which was a month ago, with the latest 74 just arriving this past Monday. Reports of a new study has revealed the war in Tigray is undermining its environmental recovery. Since the 1990s, Tigray, a region in northern Ethiopia, has been undergoing a successful landscape restoration, helping provide food security and other ecosystem services as well. Findings of a new research show that the ongoing conflict has threatened all of these gains. Timnit Bairu presents this report based on the findings of a new study undertaken by the Conflict and Environment Observatory. Let's take a listen.
Using satellite data to cut through the information blackout, the researchers used satellite data to examine changes in vegetation during the first 12 months of the conflict. identifying declines in trees and shrubs affecting at least 280 square kilometers of Tigray. Rainfall temperatures, locust invasions, and fire cannot fully explain the patterns of observed woody vegetation loss, meaning conflict-driven deforestation is most likely the cause. Satellite analysis has identified hotspots of conflict-driven vegetation loss in Tigray in 2021 along the border with Amhara around Kafta Shararo National Park in the north and the southern highlands. Wars can disrupt the supply of food, fuel, and other essential resources, forcing affected communities as well as military forces to increase their use of local ecosystems. The researchers hypothesize this is what has happened in Tigray. The region has been under a de facto blockade since November 2020, leading to a collapse in fuel and electricity supply that has likely and anecdotally led to an increased use of wood as a fuel source. Over the last 3 decades, Tigray has seen a widespread recovery of woody vegetation as a part of a suite of nature-based solutions to address the food insecurity and poverty in the region. These successes are now under the threat from conflict-driven deforestation. At the same time, previous recovery of woody vegetation may also have provided a buffer against the environmental impacts of the war. To restore and safeguard food security, livelihoods, and the well-being of people living in Tigray and beyond in the long term, the researchers stressed the urgency to end the conflict, blackout, and blockade in order to allow humanitarian aid to reach those in need, but also to restore markets for agricultural inputs and outputs, fuel, and other resources, which will decrease pressure on natural resources. They also suggest that financial, social, and logistical infrastructure that supports landscape restoration across Tigray is rebuilt, and physical soil and water conservation structures, irrigation infrastructure, tree nurseries, and exclosures destroyed during the war are restored. The study recommended that plans for recovery of Tigray need to be built on the success of proven nature-based solutions.
Thousands of Tigrayans in Benishangul Gumuz state, including employees of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, are exposed to detention, torture, as well as killings. Timnit Bayru has more on this story, compiled by TMH Medhin. Good day. Thank you.
Tigray Gabra Mikael and Hadush Mabrahtu, both former employees of the Grand Renaissance Dam, who fled Sudan for their lives, gave witness to the persecution of Tigrayans in Benishangul Gumuz. The persecution of Tigrayans began on 3rd of November 2020. They started detaining Tigrayans working on the GERD on the 5th of November. They started with the Tigrayan engineers and supervisors. Then they embarked on detaining the rest. Now almost all Tigrayans who used to work on the dam are behind bars. If you are a Tigrayan, you are rounded up from the home, from the street, wherever you are found, and thrown into prison. It is arbitrary. Most of the Tigrayans are detained in Galgal, but I don't know if they are alive or not. Those former residents of Benishangul Gumuz said the mass arrests and killings in Benishangul Gumuz is indiscriminate in terms of age and sex, but is based on ethnic profiling. The detention does not spare even the elderly women, Tigrayans, and children. But I don't know if they are still alive or not. Tigray Gabra Mikael said the person who was buried alive in Benishangul Gumuz region, as seen in a video that went viral on the media recently, was his colleague, and he knew him personally. The refugees said many Tigrayans have been brutally killed and thrown into the Nile River by Amhara expansionists and other supporters of the regime.
You're tuned into TMH Daily English News, and we'll be right back after this short break.
We used to have a family, school, hospital, food, peace and freedom, but now we have none of them.
I don't know where my parents are.
I really miss my sister. Where is she?
I want to know where my dad is. I miss my mom. I don't see my brother.
So, people of the world, we are part of you. Please, we need your help. We have a dream. We want to make the world a better place for the people like us. Please, give us your hand. We are Tigrayan people. We are part of you. Act now.
Welcome back. Up to 1.5 million Armenians were killed in the 20th century's first ever genocide. Over 500,000 Tigrayans died due to the ongoing genocide of the 21st century. Representatives of these two peoples' far from flung areas converged on the streets of Los Angeles yesterday as they marched to demand that what happened and is currently happening on their peoples be recognized by its real name, known as a genocide. Demonstrators from both the diaspora communities condemned Turkey as perpetrators of the two genocides against the Armenians as well as the Tigrayans. Here are some footages from the Ella demonstrations. Let's take a listen.
Turkey, recognize the Armenian genocide.
Turkey, recognize the Armenian genocide.
Turkey, recognize the Tigrayan genocide.
Turkey, recognize the Tigrayan genocide.
Turkey, when your drones fly,
When your drones fly,
when your drones fly,
when your drones fly,
Armenians die.
Armenians die.
When your drones fly,
When your drones fly,
Tigrayans die.
Tigrayans die.
Is under occupation by the Ethiopian government, and currently ethnic cleansing is happening. Amnesty International said there is ethnic cleansing and they need to recognize.
The Oromia region reports that 1.3 million cattle have died worth 26 billion Ethiopian birr in the 8 drought-stricken zones. The Oromia Region Disaster and Risk Management Commission reported that 1.3 million deaths in livestock worth 26 billion Ethiopian birr in the Oromia region. The commission also added that nearly 14 million animals have been affected by the drought in 8 different zones of the region, out of which 2 million are unable to move without any support. Benya Duresa, the director of the Precaution and Disaster Risk Reduction at the commission, told a local news outlet that the continued absence of spring as well as autumn in the region has led to severe drought in a total of 8 zones. The director explained that providing food continues to be the biggest challenge as the drought continues to ravage areas in the eastern Bale of Guji zones. He stated that the government has only been able to respond to 10% of the total number of livestock affected by this ongoing drought. The director expressed his worry that the weather forecast indicates that the weather in eastern and southeastern zones of the Oromia would dry within the spring of this season. The UN General Assembly today adopted the veto initiative without a vote. The resolution established a standing mandate for the General Assembly's debate when a veto in cast is in the UN Security Council. With this decision, the UN Generally assembled members and made sure that the veto is no longer the last word on the issue of this peace and security. This means that the UN General Assembly and the wider UN membership will finally have a voice when the Security Council is silenced through the use of, again, the veto vote. Many observers are saying it is a great day for the accountability as well as the transparency that is currently happening at the UN. That concludes our news for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.